YouTube, I am Michael James, and in this video I'm going to show you how to paint Wednesday Addams from the new hit Netflix TV series and have fun while you're doing it. Let's check it out. Welcome back to Michael James Fine Art. If you are new to the channel, I am Michael James, a freelance fine artist creating to spread positivity and good vibes. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint Wednesday Addams from the new Netflix TV series Wednesday, starring Jenna Ortega. This is a really fun painting that I think everyone will enjoy. We have a time-lapse version where I'll be walking you through my thoughts and processes for the whole painting. For the full version, the link will be in the description. And a reminder, we're streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays in the evening, so be sure, check that out. Join our Discord, show us what you're creating, hang out with the community, like and subscribe down below, hit the bell so you never miss a stream or any of our new content. And above all, stay healthy and stay happy. Appreciate the love, gang. All right, this is a very fun. We have a watercolor painting of Wednesday Addams from the new Netflix series Wednesday. If you have not watched it, do yourself a favor and check it out. It is a very fun, entertaining TV show. Jenna Ortega does an incredible job, and it's very exciting from start to finish. So, enough about the TV show. Let's get into the painting. We had a very fun time with this painting. We went in with a wet on wet watercolor technique. We got the paper very wet in certain areas and went in with a lot of cool shades of blue and purple to begin for the undertones. Even hit it with some nice splatter and really let the paint sort of expand into the background, designing the overall layout of the piece. We then went in with some really nice dark reds, almost a maroon type color for the darks of the skin tone. And again, we're still working in a very wet on wet style. As you can see, the paint sort of bleeds and spreads, and we're just trying to control the level of pigment and the location. It's sort of going just enough to keep the drawing intact as we put in these dark values in the first layer of washes. So from there, we kind of start to pick up some of the water and some of the pigments, making sure we keep our highlights clean. Even if it has a little bit of a glow or a shine, we want to make sure it's relatively clear and white, where the highlights should be. So again, we started with some nice cool dark colors to lock in some nice values in the first layers, and then we went into some nice reds, and now we're going to begin adding the actual skin tone, flesh tone colors. And we're still working wet on wet. We're making sure that the paints are mixing and spreading and doing what watercolor does, where it sort of softens its own edges and begins blending into each other depending on the amount of water and pigment on the surface. So as we continue to work and add colors, we're making sure that the pigment to water mixture on our palette is staying on the heavier side using pigment, so that we're not putting more water down. In fact, we're actually putting paint and color in these locations, and that is why the paint is staying relatively where we're putting it down. Again, we're going in with a dry brush or paper towel at any point we need to, and picking up in certain areas, drying off paper, and even removing paint accordingly. This is also the point because we've been moving around the painting in a uniform style. We go down and get the skin tone into the hands, working the piece as a whole instead of just focusing on the face, portrait, eyes, lips. We're making sure the piece is moving along together. We're going to add a few subtle details going down into the hair. We're working with a very red, maroon almost for our dark values that we will continue to color so that some of these shines and layers go through. The piece had an overall feeling that was very purple, blue, and a very cool, ominous feeling to the piece. So we really wanted to stick with that Wednesday Addams vibe, get the spooky feeling involved and not have it be super cheery while we still had the fun feeling. and we didn't want it to get too dark and depressing. So again, we're going with some nice blues. Now we're going in with a little bit more vibrant oranges and reds to keep the face bright and lit up. Even though she has very pale skin, we address that very soon. As the water dissipates and the paper begins to dry, your saturation will change significantly. So it's very important to keep putting layers in. With watercolor, you work light to dark. You might be working on your dark areas, but you're putting your layers in very thin. And as they dry, you can continue adding on to the layers on top of that. So although our skin color looks very saturated, it will dry out, along with all the purples and blues will continue to blend and form a very beautiful, transparent, luminous paint layer over the paper. So now we're going in with a little bit more details across the face, getting a little bit smaller brush. We're trying to get the features a little bit more detailed and dialed in. Again, just working with this nice purple value, this dark value. And to continue, again, we're strengthening these nice dark values. Fixing shapes, fixing edges, start to finish. Every time we put a mark down, we're checking the marks in the area, the color, the values, how it fits with its surrounding marks. If you guys are enjoying this video, I really appreciate the support. I have to ask that you like and subscribe down below. This piece was completed live on stream. We do gestural Mondays, watercolor Wednesdays, figurative Fridays. We're trying to fit in some streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. We're aiming for 5 a week. We're dropping videos and blog, new art on Instagram, as well as lots of new content. So be sure to smash that like, smash that sub, follow our other socials, join our Discord, join the community, show us what you're working with, and just continue to enjoy your art and the art around you. Let's get back into the video and as we complete this Wednesday watercolor piece. Now we go in with a very nice saturated blue that we will be picking up and almost turning into a lighter sky blue almost for some of the highlights. It will contrast very nicely with these dark purples and magentas and show a light source that we are exaggerating in color and saturation, but it will work with the piece as the reflective natures and colors of the paint will again desaturate and almost lessen in its hue and values. We hit it with a blow dryer a few times throughout the piece just to speed it up, to check our values and see what it looks like as it's dry. So now we are working on a fairly dry piece of paper, but it's still a nice damp heavy duty watercolor. It's 140-pound paper. I always recommend using a very nice heavy watercolor paper. It holds saturation and the moisture very well, so it extends working time rather than having to re-wet and re-wet and re-wet the piece. And it's very durable. So now we continue building up the values. As we said, in watercolor we're adding lots of purples, and then we're going in with these blue highlights that are going to change and continue adding form to the figure. So rather than turning the figure with values, we're doing it with color as well. Keep in mind that anytime you're doing anything with color, your values in that color still have to be accurate. So when I say we're turning the form using color, it's still value dependent, because if the value is not correct, the form is not turning, color or not. So we're using a change in color almost to show values more, because it's a black dress. You're not going to see necessarily as many values. So when I say using color, we're using color to show our values. So the values still have to be correct the whole way through the piece. And now, as you can see, we're really getting in some nice darks throughout the eyes and the hair, really beginning to dial in the facial features. A couple of highlights that we've put in with the white have brought out all of our dark values. Now we have that chiaroscuro that's showing form, 3D, depth. We're beginning to sculpt the figure using our light and dark shapes. Because when you have your range of values, including your highlights and your dark is dark, you can see your midtones and your highlights and your darks, and your brain and your eyes can actually formulate an object in space when you have those values. And so now we're going in with a little bit of a white highlight, some gouache, a couple touches on the blue, a couple light blues, as well as going in through her skin again, because her skin tone is very, very pale. If you've seen the show, she's part of the Addams family. So she's very, very pale, almost looks like dead white skin, dead, almost blue skin. So we did want it to feel very pale and opaque. So we went in with a gouache after and made sure that that skin was going to sit on the surface instead of keep a transparent layer to it. We really wanted some of the white parts of the skin to really show that accurate color and form rounding around with the darks. So now we go in and we add all of our final touches, small marks, fixing our edges, touching up our highlights, buttons, hands, making sure everything sits in relation, foreground, midground, background where it should be, that the forms are rolling where they should be, that the shadows are correct, whether it be a cast shadow, a form shadow. We're just checking top to bottom, and we're gonna go in and hit it with a quick signature. And our signature goes on pretty thick, so we make sure to dab it and push that back into the painting as well. So rather than sitting on the surface, it becomes part of the piece and the painting, and we are done. This piece came out wonderful. We enjoyed it the whole way through, really kept it loose and just focused on our values and our shapes, and truly enjoy how it came out. If you guys stuck around this far, I can't thank you enough for the support. Please be sure to smash that like, tell someone about the channel, and above all, stay healthy and stay happy. We'll see you next time.